Here.
Barbie Minor,
Here.
Alfredo Moreno,
Here.
Lisa Monteblanco.
Excellent. Our first item of business, I will entertain a motion if we have any action resulting from executive session.
I will do that. I move that the board authorize staff to acquire property in the southwest quadrant of the district for the price discussed in executive session using system development charge credits, subject to the standard due diligence review and approval by the general manager or designee.
I will second that motion.
Jessica, will you please take a vote?
Alfredo Moreno,
Yes.
Miles Palacios,
Yes.
Tia Ping,
Yes.
Barbie Minor.
Yes. Okay, well, that takes us immediately to agenda item number 4, and it's an exciting time tonight. We are celebrating and swearing in 3 members for the board for our next 4 years. So I think with that, our first person will be our newest member who's joining us. So Pradnya Patel, so excited to have you here tonight. And if you would like to come up, I think, Holly, you are going to help me orchestrate where we're standing and doing the swearing in of our new board members. This is very important. I'm going to voice over while this is happening and just you smile. This is incredible. I just wanted to give you your flowers and say, as a first-time candidate, I am so grateful that you stepped forward to run. Congratulations on your tenure and getting to serve with us. Honored to work with you, and this is an exciting moment. So for those in the audience, this what's happening right now, and this is a volunteer position, and it's so mission critical that we have members of the community who step forward and are willing to give of their time and to serve. And so it's a celebratory moment this evening. Because we're going to run it back another 4 years. So I will do a little announcement here, just to voice over before we begin. Thank you, Director Moreno, for agreeing to run again for a second term. Excited to have your family here to celebrate with you as well, and we look forward to serving alongside you across the next 4 years as well. So congratulations, Director Moreno.
First time we've done vowels.
Great.
Right. Thank you.
Two feet taller than last time I saw you.
Right. After me. I, Barbie Meyer,
I, Barbie Minor,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the States of America
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the laws thereof.
I further swear and affirm
I further swear and affirm
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District Director, uphold the board's policies and procedures. All right, now look at me. Sorry.
You can do the work together for a group. Okay, and we'll center you under the. Welcome to your first session. All right. Well, this spoke to me. You look great. All right, and anybody else, please? Stay together. We can get a collective. Thank y'all so much.
Barbie, if the board is willing, we may want to take like a 10-minute recess because there is cake.
I mean, let them eat cake. You kind of set me up with that one, Doug. Sure, let's take a 10-minute pause and let's enjoy some celebratory cake together.
Well done.
All right, everyone. I think this is where acting skills might come into play because that was called improvisation. So there's still ample cake. Thank you to our newest member, Pradnya Patel. Really looking forward to serving with you and for your family bringing cake to celebrate with us tonight. So if you change your mind and in 10, 15 minutes as we work our way through the agenda decide you need a sugar bump, please head on over and treat yourself to some cake. With that, I'm going to reconvene and we're going to move along to agenda item number 5, which is our election of officers for the fiscal year 2025-2026. We have 3 positions that we elect as a board: the president, the secretary, and the secretary pro tempore. So I will go ahead and open the floor. I will now open the floor for the president for fiscal year 2025-26. And I actually would like to make the nomination myself, and I would like to nominate my peer, Director Moreno, for the role of president next year. Are there any other nominations or seconds?
I will second that.
This is going to be wham, bam, here
suppose I
we
have to
go.
accept, yeah.
Jessica, do we need to take a vote? So could you please take a vote?
Alfredo Moreno,
Yes.
Miles Palacios,
Yes.
Tia Ping,
Yes.
Barbie Minor.
Yes. Congratulations, sir, and thank you for your tenure.
Thank you very much. Yes, I won't hold court at this point. But yes, thank you.
Okay, we will do the same moving along for the position of secretary. I will now open the floor for nominations for the secretary for fiscal year 2025-26. And I would like to nominate Director Miles Palacios for the secretary position for fiscal year 2025-26.
I would like-
that.
May I, that breach in protocol notwithstanding, I would love to enthusiastically second that.
Jessica, could you please take a vote?
Miles Palacios,
Yes.
Tia Ping,
Yes.
Alfredo Moreno,
Yes.
Barbie Minor.
Yes. Okay, and our last position will be, oh, yes, sorry. Thank you to our audience members, keeping me honest. Okay, and then I will now open the floor for nominations for Secretary Pro Tempore for fiscal year 2025-2026. And I would like to nominate Director Tia Ping.
I will second that.
Jessica, could you please take a vote?
Tia Ping,
Yes.
Alfredo Moreno,
Absolutely.
Miles Palacios,
Yes.
Barbie Minor.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to great things ahead next year. So I will, 30 more minutes and the gavel is yours, sir.
Well, if I may, while we're still in this section, I would like to commend President Barbie Minor and, and I'll speak more on this during my board time, but I think just it's always an interesting experience doing it for the first time. And there's always all kinds of ways you can leave a thumbprint and all kinds of ways that you can't leave a thumbprint. And so, and all those are good. And I thought you've just done an outstanding job. And it's been, we've had a roller coaster of new things, and that's what keeps it stimulating and interesting. And I think you've had a great year, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. But thank you on your way for a mission accomplished. So, yep.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that will bring us along to our proclamations this evening. And I would like to welcome those who are in attendance this evening for our proclamations. And I'm going to turn it over to our Equity and Engagement Manager, Lulu Ballesteros, to do some introductions for us tonight.
Hello to the board and everyone. Lulu Ballesteros, ella, she, her. And I am very happy to be here today with you all and celebrate Juneteenth National Independence Day. For that, we have Tafina Campos Mason, she, her, ella, reading the proclamation. Tafina is the executive director and founder for Westside Connect, a Black-led organization rooted in Washington County. Their work focuses on community advocacy, youth engagement, and culturally affirming programming for the Black community, while working on a high focus of multicultural and intergenerational connections. We've partnered with Tafina and her team before for many things, including last year's Juneteenth event, and we collaborated with them again for the second year, which was just held at Cedar Hills on Monday. Welcome back, Tafina. We appreciate your collaboration.
Thank you for having me. And it is Tafina Campos Macon, not Mason, so I just wanted to correct that. It's all good. And before I even get going, Nadia Diaz, good to have Wildcat Power in here. Last time I was here was in February, and I shouted out these two amazing, powerful women in our community, and I'm fortunate to be able to call them former classmates or schoolmates. And this is the first time we've been in the same room together in over 20 years. So not to date us, but it's nice to be in community with you all again. Before I get started, I'm going to read the proclamation for Juneteenth, which I think is powerful and well-written. But I also want to call out some complexities about Juneteenth. There's a lot of misinformation on the national scale. And so I just want to call it out. We give credit to Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation, but I want to be very clear and say he is not our hero. And while he did sign that amazing thing that liberated a lot of people, he also had this quote that I found while I was at Westview High School, actually. It's a little emotional to read this because it just reminds you of his why. and how our humanity isn't always dignified. So I'm going to share. I am not, nor ever have I been, in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and Black races. That I am not, nor ever have I been in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermingling with white people. And I will say, in addition to that, there is a physical difference between the white and Black races, which will ever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality. And inasmuch as they cannot so live, while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior. I am, as much as any other man, in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race. I share that because I also want us to lean into our personal whys and not just understand why we do the work, but define it. And what I mean by that is to really invest time in reflecting on why you do this work, why you commit to supporting those in the margins, why you are committed to shifting the narrative that we've learned our entire lives in every school system, in every system in this country towards truth, and really understanding how your own biases have been shaped by this country and by what we were taught, and unlearning all these traumatic concepts to be able to really form a foundation of real enlightenment and truth. And so as I read this proclamation, I just ask you to reflect on your own why, define your why. Why are you committed to what you're doing? Why are you committed to being here today in community with us? So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read this, and we're going to celebrate Juneteenth together as a community, and hopefully with more purpose and intention. Okay, do I need to read the title? Okay. All right, Tualatin Hills Parks and Recreation District proclamation by the Board of Directors. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, that established that all enslaved people in Confederate states in rebellion against the Union shall be then forever free. And whereas the 13th Amendment formally abolished slavery in the entire United States and was signed by President Lincoln on February 1st, 1965, and ratified by a sufficient number of states on December 6, 1865, ensuring that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States. And whereas in reality, the Emancipation Proclamation did not instantly free any enslaved people, and the proclamation only applied to places under Confederate control and not to slave-holding border states or rebel areas under Union control. And whereas Juneteenth, short for June 19th, marks the day in 1865 when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas to take control of the state and to ensure that all enslaved people be freed. A full 2+ years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And whereas in reality, the work to abolish slavery took decades, and there are documented instances of Black Americans continuing to be enslaved into the 1900s. And whereas a century and a half later, June 19th has a special meaning to Black Americans and is recognized as the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the US. And whereas Juneteenth commemorates freedom for Black Americans, and whereas THPRD recognizes that Juneteenth is an important day for Black Americans and for the nation, and is a part of our history. And whereas THPRD recognizes the lasting legacy of systemic racism and oppression and how they are still impacting people's lives today. And whereas the contributions, stories, and experiences of Black Americans are historically marginalized and minimized, highlighted by the fact many are unaware the atrocities and lasting legacies of slavery continued for decades after it was outlawed. And whereas THPRD respects and acknowledges the day as a reminder of the work that's been done to tear down systems of oppression and the reality that it is imperative the work continue because we still have a long way to go. And whereas Juneteenth is an occasion to recognize and further disrupt THPRD's role in long-standing systemic racism, to take responsibility in creating a more just, welcoming, and inclusive park district, and to uphold the values of advancing racial equity. Now, therefore, the Board of Directors of the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District does hereby proclaim June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth National Independence Day, and do urge all those in the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District to support and promote this observance. Signed this 11th day of June 2025 by Barbie Miner, President, and Alfredo Moreno, Secretary.
And with this, we are honoring Pride Month. We have a guest speaker, Aubrey Silverman, she, her, board chair from the West Side Queer Resource Center, which is dedicated to expanding access and support for the LGBTQAI community in the Beaverton area and throughout Washington County. They have been an active partner to the Stewart Center, working closely with staff to explore meaningful ways to serve LGBTQAI plus 55 and better adults. Together, they are creating programming that fosters inclusion and connection for the 55 plus community. Members of the Westside Queer Resource Center have generously shared their time and talents leading support groups, participating in events, and even offering professional photography services to help bring a shared vision to life. Aubrey, we deeply appreciate your presence and work.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Sibelman. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the chair of the Westside Queer Resource Center. I want to start by just saying I really appreciate the spotlight being on me for a moment, because as a 6'2" trans woman with pink hair, I barely ever get noticed. So thank you very much. I think this Pride season is especially important to our community right now. The political climate is, if you've noticed, very difficult, especially for our transgender community members. So I really appreciate this proclamation and THPRD's commitment to LGBTQAI community, and also access to the LC Store Center, which we're going to start programming up in very soon. So here is the proclamation. Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District proclamation by the Board of Directors. Whereas the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District, THPRD, is committed to ensuring that all individuals have the opportunity to play, learn, and explore, and is dedicated to advancing diversity, equity, inclusion, and mutual respect for everyone we serve. And whereas Pride Month is a time to honor the resilience, contributions, and history of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, and other LGBTQIA+ individuals, and to remember the courageous activists who have fought and continue to fight for equality and justice. And whereas THPRD believes that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and that our community is stronger, healthier, and more vibrant with the full inclusion of LGBTQIA+ community members. And whereas THPRD stands in solidarity with LGBTQIA+ individuals and families, and is committed to identifying and removing barriers to participation to ensure all people feel welcome, valued, and free to express their authentic selves within our parks, programs, and services. And whereas we acknowledge the ongoing harm caused by discrimination and exclusion, and reaffirm our commitment to providing equitable opportunities for health and wellness, creative expression, and safe access to parks and recreation for all. Now, therefore, the Board of Directors of the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District does hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month, and encourages all individuals in the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District to support, uplift, and celebrate the LGBTQIA+ community this month and always. Signed this 11th day of June 2025 by Barbie Minor, President, Alfredo Moreno, Secretary.
And now for National Immigrant Heritage Month, we are so happy to welcome Mona Jivali from Unite Oregon's Washington County Chapter Director. Congratulations, Mona, on your new role with Unite Oregon. We appreciate the work we did together during your time in ERCO's Great Middle East Center here in Beaverton. Unite Oregon is lucky to have you. Unite Oregon is a statewide front-led organization working to advance social justice for immigrants, refugees, and communities of color through civic engagement, leadership, development, and advocacy. Our partnership has grown in recent months through joint community events and activities. Recent highlights include Mexican New Year and a multicultural motherhood celebration, among other partners.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm very honored to be here. I want to start by saying this is such a meaningful, powerful proclamation, especially for people with heritage or people from immigrant background. Being a former immigrant myself, I have been a strong advocate and serving immigrant and refugee communities in different capacities. And I've had the honor of collaborating with THPRD, as Lulu just shared, through my former role as the manager for the Greater Middle East Center of the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization. And now, as I step into this new position as the Unite Oregon Washington County Chapter Director, I'm very excited to continue the work that I've started. I've been in Oregon for about 11 years now, but I've called the USA home for the past 21 years. Thank you again for the space tonight. And here's the proclamation. Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District Proclamation by the Board of Directors. Whereas during National Immigrant Heritage Month, we honor the histories, cultures, and lived experiences of immigrants who have shaped and strengthened communities in countless ways. Whereas immigrants of all nationalities have been arriving in the United States since its founding, contributing to the development of the country and communities through resilience, labor, innovation, and culture. And whereas immigrants have faced and continue to face significant challenges, including hostile and exclusionary environments, yet pursue new lives in this country with courage, determination, and sacrifice. And whereas immigrant community members contribute across every sector of society as business owners, caregivers, educators, medical professionals, essential workers, artists, and more, enhancing community well-being, diversity, and vibrancy. And whereas Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District, the THPRD, recognizes the critical importance of creating inclusive, welcoming spaces where immigrant neighbors and community members feel safe, seen, and valued. And whereas THPRD acknowledges that the presence and contributions of immigrants have profoundly enriched the district, region, and nation. And whereas the THPRD affirms that true inclusion extends beyond access to a sense of belonging, where immigrant community members not only participate, but are embraced as integral to the social, cultural, and civic fabric of the district. Now, therefore, the Board of Directors of the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District does hereby proclaim June as National Immigrant Heritage Month and do urge all those in Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District to support and promote this observance. Signed this 11th day of June, 2025 by Barbie Miner, President, and Alfredo Moreno, Secretary. Thank you.
And we're also thrilled to have a great representative from the Park Services Division and the Maintenance Department, John Campbell, THPRD's Maintenance Operations Manager. THPRD is proud to celebrate Parks and Recreation Month in 2025 by recognizing the vital role our maintenance team plays in keeping THPRD parks and facilities safe, beautiful, and welcoming for all. We want to highlight all the hard work and dedication of our maintenance staff. From the smallest details to the biggest projects, their efforts make a lasting impact every day. As a team, they help create vibrant, accessible spaces that our community relies on and enjoys. Thank you for all you do. Through hot days and winter storms, you are always there for patrons, colleagues, and the community.
Thank you, Lulu. Good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to start off when Lulu asked me to do this a week or so ago, read this proclamation. I thought, heck yeah, I've been doing this 37 years and I get a chance to do this. It's been, when I put that in perspective, it's been literally like 2/3 of my life. So anyway, here we go. Tualatin Hills Proclamation, Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District Proclamation by the Board of Directors. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, and voters felt so strongly about the importance of parks and recreation that they voted in 1955 to establish Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District to provide dedicated parks and recreation services. And whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to our quality of life, ensuring our health and wellness, and contributing to our economic and environmental well-being. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for people experiencing disabilities, and improve our mental, emotional, and physical health. And whereas parks and recreation programs are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas parks and recreation programs provide the opportunity to build community and bring our incredibly diverse population together to share experiences, learn from each other, and build cross-cultural connections that strengthen the fabric of our community. And whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect our natural habitats, improve the quality in the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers, and preserve the ecological beauty of these areas for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Park and Recreation Month. Now, therefore, the Board of Directors of Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District does hereby declare the month of July 2025 as Park and Recreation Month. And do urge all those in the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District to support and promote this observance. Signed this 11th day of June 2025 by Barbie Miner, President, and Alfredo Moreno, Secretary.
Okay. Thank you, audience, for your patience while we went through our proclamations and took a moment to honor our presenters to be in community with us this evening. I will move us along to our next order of business, which is adopting our budget for the next fiscal year. So with that, I will now open the budget hearing for adoption of the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget, levying taxes and making appropriations. I believe that our presenter is right here. Mr. Isaacson, take it away.
Good evening, President Miner and members of the board. I'm Jared Isaacson, the Finance Director and Budget Officer for the district. I am here this evening to request the adoption of the fiscal year 2025-26 budget and appropriation of funds, as well as the property tax levies for the district. The budget was approved by the Budget Committee at the May 15th Budget Committee meeting. Now, per ORS 294-465, the board may make changes to the approved budget prior to adoption. And in compliance with this statute, staff are asking that the board increase the administration budget appropriation by $90,000 for a part-time classification and compensation study. Now, this project is in the current year's budget, but has been delayed due to staff turnover and protected leaves of absence. Staff is also asking that the board transfer $10 from the materials and services appropriation line item to an interfund transfer appropriation line item within the bond capital project fund. Now, this will be used to transfer any residual balance to the bond debt service fund once all bond capital projects have been completed and the arbitrage liability has been paid. Now, the budget appropriations total more than $237 million. Of that, the general fund appropriations exceed $145 million. The district's permanent property tax levy for the general fund is a rate of $1.3073 per thousand of assessed value. The local option levy tax rate is 50 cents per thousand of assessed value. And the bonded debt fund property tax levy is more than $9 million. With that, I do want to give special thanks to the finance team and the budget committee for all the hard work and dedication in preparing, reviewing, and ultimately approving the budget for next fiscal year. And with that, I am happy to entertain any questions or discussions you may have.
First, Jessica, we can confirm there was no public comment, correct? Okay, then I will open it up to my peers for any comments or questions.
I have no question.
No questions, quick comment, just really happy with the work I want to give a shout out to everyone who is also a part of our budget committee, our community members that were participating in this conversation, as well as the work of you, Jared, and your entire team that helped out with it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is as usual, it's a sound, well-reasoned, well-presented, well-discussed. Many questions answered, a budget we can stand proudly on and in front of, and all the other ways behind, but thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
I echo the same sentiments. Thank you, Jared and team, and most particularly, of course, our volunteers who support the whole process through the budget committee. So I know we had some different iterations as well, so I just want to echo as a person who finances are not my wheelhouse and where I go to. Thank you for just the work along the way to make this a much more digestible, understandable. I think that is very supportive of our community as well, who want to see the budget and understand what's contained. So there's a lot of work here, and I think just for the folks who are here seeing this, we know the amount of time and energy and resources it takes to arrive at this moment. So I don't want to be remiss and to just acknowledge the months and months and months of work. And thank you for taking our feedback and iterating the process to meet what we need. So
Definitely.
kudos.
Thank you.
With that, if there's no public comment, if there's any other questions, then I will now close the budget hearing and I would entertain a motion.
I move that the Board of Directors approve Resolution 2025-06 to adopt the 2025-26 budget, levy ad valorem taxes, and make appropriations.
I'll second that.
Jessica, could you take a vote?
Miles Palacios,
Yes.
Alfredo Moreno,
Yes.
Tia Ping,
Yes.
Barbie Minor.
Yes. Motion passes. Budget adopted. Thank you, Jared. Okay. We will move along to audience time. I do believe we have public testimony tonight. So for our community members who have signed up for the public comment part of the period of are listening online, the public comment period is an essential part of local government meetings. All of us on the board of directors are grateful for your participation and will take your input into consideration. In recognition that the board has scheduled business to conduct at board meetings, and in order to ensure we are able to complete our regularly scheduled business, audience time is limited to 30 minutes total. Testimony during audience time is specifically for topics not on this evening's agenda. Testimony on agenda items will be taken during the applicable agenda item. Speakers will be called in the order in which they signed up for speaking this evening and will have 3 minutes each to speak. After the 30 minutes has expired, we will not be able to accommodate any more audience time. However, we welcome members of the public to share their feedback in writing. Audience time is not a time for dialogue, but rather an opportunity for the board to listen. We will ask our general manager to follow up with you as appropriate. Thank you for being here. And I do believe with that I would ask Ben Reese to come on up. You'll need to push the little button. It'll turn green. Your mic will be on. Is that?
It's on.
Oh, it's already on.
Yeah,
And you'll have a little timer that counts down. It'll go from,
Green.
yellow, red. And after your 3 minutes, I will need to ask you to stop. But public testimonies, pardon me. Okay, if you could please state your zip code and your name for the record, and then your time will begin.
Okay, zip code is 97005, and my name is Ben Reese. Boy, I'm just glad to have been here for the proclamations. I could go right now. That was awesome. But good evening, President and board members. My name is Ben Reese. I've been a small business owner in Beaverton for the last 10 years. I own Lionheart Coffee Company. I have 2 locations, one on Shoals Ferry Road in South Beaverton along the Fano Creek Trail, and one in downtown Beaverton off of Watson and First near the First Street Dining Commons. Through our shops, we've worked to contribute to help and strengthen our local community in Beaverton and beyond. I'm here tonight to share some appreciation and a small idea. The First Street Commons has become a true gift to our city. It's a space that invites people in, brings joy, and encourages connection. I can confidently say it's one of the most positively regarded public spaces in Beaverton. It's made downtown safer to walk, easier to bike, and more inviting to explore. Rather than a quick single-stop visit, the Commons encourages people to linger, to connect, and to support a wider array of local businesses. I know there are some concerns from some about parking or the perception that only nearby businesses benefit, but from where I stand and from where countless conversations I've had with customers and neighbors, those concerns don't hold up to the real impact we've seen. The Commons helps all of downtown Beaverton thrive by making it a place people want to be. With that spirit in mind, I'd like to kindly request that THPRD consider organizing a brainstorming session to explore 3 small events that could take place in the Commons this summer. Things like community concerts, a pop-up game night, or family activity afternoon. These don't need to be large-scale productions, just approachable, welcoming gatherings that celebrate the space and the people who already love it. The City Council has already taken great steps by the City of Beaverton City Council has taken great steps by supporting the infrastructure upgrades for the Commons. Now I hope THPRD can help activate it with programming that brings it to life in new ways. I'm also joined by a couple of my local community members, Omar and Paige, that also frequent the Commons, and I'm really proud that they're here with me. Thank you so much for your time and for all that you do to keep our public spaces vibrant and inclusive.
Thank you for being here, Ben. Appreciate it. Okay, is there any other public comment? I think that's it. Okay, well then that moves us along to board time. So I'm not sure if anyone would like to volunteer to go first and share updates from your committees and what we've been up to.
I'll go ahead and kick us off here. I don't have any updates really, but I just had some comments as we kind of come to the close of this, or I guess we've come to the close, but start this new fiscal year with the organization. I'm about halfway through my term here at THPRD. I've absolutely loved it. I'm really thankful to the partnership and leadership of my colleagues, including our former colleague Felicita, who's not with us anymore. She's fine. She's just not here. She's off doing other things. But I am truly thankful for the opportunity to work with such incredible peers on this board, with a passion for this district that shows in their presence, not just here in our meetings, but in our community. As well as just so thankful for the community members that participate in our programs and our committees, advising how this public body serves our district. And then also just a massive thank you to the staff of the Parks District. These 2 years have been incredible, and I'm looking forward for the last two of this term and what may be beyond. So thank you all.
I don't have any real updates, but I did want to take the time to thank you for your year as president of leading us. I know you're a little bit apprehensive of taking the position at first, and you've done it beautifully with lots of grace, and you learned very quickly and you led us very well. And so I'm just so thankful that we get another 4 years with you. And I just want to say thank you for your leadership this year. And you truly did a wonderful job. So I'm very proud of you. Yeah.
All right, by process of elimination, me. I just wanted to highlight first one of the items that we have on the consent agenda with the Tualatin Hills Park Foundation. We are essentially what we're going to do is help the THPF kind of align its bylaws and articles of incorporation on that. And then also we're going to grant the THPRD board more engagement into the selection of their trustees. So it's all part of ongoing efforts to really provide a really kind of symbiotic partnership with Tualatin Hills Park Foundation. And so I want to thank the board for your ongoing engagement with the foundation, and of course staff who's worked hard to kind of tighten and polish and sand. And I think we are well on our way to doing some really big things there. So wanted to highlight that and express my appreciation. Second, I am a proud employee when I'm not here at this table of Portland Community College. And on Friday night, we will hand out about 1,000 degrees at the spring commencement at Memorial Coliseum in Portland. And our student speaker this year will be Rose Benoya, who will be graduating with highest honors with an associate's in exercise science. Rose is one of us. Now, pointing to this sign, Rose is a fitness instructor for THPRD and specializing in adaptive services. And I know, Doug, you've known Rose's work well, and I just wanted to express kind of the, I love when my two jobs, quote unquote, kind of overlap from time to time, and this one is pretty special. Have heard nothing but good about Rose and her story and her motivation to give back through the gift of fitness and movement and all of that good stuff. So shout out to Rose. That's a excellent honor for her and THPRD as well. And finally, you know, I did want to just thank again, Barbie. I think you've done. We had 4 proclamations. I know you've spent a lot of time just guiding, feedback, staff, and you have worked hard over this past year. And I think the kind of proof is in the pudding here. We've seen these have come alive in such a special way, allowing us to connect with the community, allowing us to hear directly from the community. And I, you know, I really think that has been something that seems like maybe not on the surface. Okay, it's just a script that somebody's reading, but I really think they've been true points where we can kind of soak in the words a little bit more and the people and the communities that they're coming from, and think about our own positionality and our own values. And Tafina earlier today was a great example. I mean, these things are not meant or maybe are their best when they're not a cookie cutter. I mean, complexity of Abraham Lincoln. You can accept Lincoln or know that Lincoln was prejudicial and, essentially in many ways a white supremacist. And you can also hold that the Emancipation Proclamation is one of the boldest and bravest political moves in U.S. history. And I think that's what America is all about, that push-pull, that tug, and that embrace of complexity. And I think we do that at the local level. And I appreciate that you have made our proclamations beautifully more complex in that way. So, and thank you to everyone on the staff who has done the hard work to support that as well. I think that's a big thing. So that's it. But I did want to give that special shout out there. So I will wind it up now.
All right. Well, I did some prepared remarks for this evening, knowing that we are closing out this year, and this is my last meeting as the board president this year. So with that, I will say is tonight marks the last meeting in our fiscal year 2024-25 and my last meeting serving as board president. I wanted to take a moment to offer some personal reflections and remarks as we close out the year. I want to share that my decision to speak tonight did not come easily. I note that this is the first time that I've addressed what happened to me publicly. I've intentionally held back commenting as I'm quite mindful of not centering myself in the work that I do to serve others. However, I do think that that it is the time to give voice and to offer some insight. In November 2023, I used my voice, privilege, and First Amendment right to speak up for the genocide happening in Gaza. At that time, I was doxxed, harassed, and intimidating for demanding a permanent ceasefire in Palestine. The personal threats, emails, and online comments I received were terrifying, disgusting, and full of hate. And to some extent, the intimidation worked. I was afraid for the safety of myself and my family. In this fearful time, I also watched who was by my side. Now the same playbook is being used against a fellow elected on the Beaverton School Board, Dr. Tammy Carpenter. She too has used her voice to speak up for the humanity of Palestinians. And she too is now receiving the same hateful, aggressive, and threatening rhetoric. Again, all stemming from exercising her First Amendment right to free speech. I stand proudly next to my colleague, Dr. Carpenter, next to her as support while she is targeted, and next to her in solidarity. Nevertheless, I'm proud of the work we do in this district. I am proud of the change we implemented this past year to invite community members to join us in person and to share in the reading of our monthly proclamations. Admittedly, I struggle with affinity proclamations, knowing they can be perceived as performative. However, I know and trust that this is not how we move at THPRD, nor is it how I will ever move as a community leader. These proclamations are only a fraction of the real work we do to ensure that the district is constantly showing up in community. And I want to honor the staff's work in striving to partner with our community as much and as often as possible. Tonight, as we honor Pride Month, Juneteenth holiday, and Immigrant History Month, I'm asking each of you to recommit to our board values of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in all facets. I am eager to continue building a district that ensures our most harmed communities are cared for and loved. I hope we are able to keep expanding our LGBTQIA+ programming and develop a gender-inclusive youth sports opportunity. I hope the Black and Green Fellowship is expanded to more than just a once-a-year opportunity. I hope we continue to partner with local jurisdictions and community-based organizations to center our diverse immigrant population and welcome them home into THPRD. We are always stronger and better together, and the time to join in community and support one another is now. Thank you to my peers for the opportunity to lead this past year and for your support and collaboration. It has been one of the most meaningful and impactful challenges of my life. Thank you, Doug, and all of the incredible staff for the unparalleled support and expert guidance. And most importantly, thank you to my family for weathering all that comes with supporting my public service journey. In solidarity. With that, I will move us along. Thank you for being here, folks, and allowing me the space to speak my truth. With that, we'll move along and I will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second?
I will second.
Jessica, could you please take a vote?
Alfredo Moreno,
Yes.
Tia Ping,
Yes.
Miles Palacios,
Yes.
Barbie Minor.
Yes. All right, I see Mr. Barber Ash has already taken the helm here, so he knows what's what. We're going to move on into the general manager's report. Going around? You're up, yes? Okay.
Oh.
Good evening, board members. I'm going to be here pretty much every month except for July to give you an update about what's going on with bond renewal activities. And so I put this picture on here. This is a picture of Garden Home Recreation Center. Many people haven't seen it from this perspective, but that's the kind of causeway that connects two of the buildings undergoing some earthquake retrofits during the last bond measure, the 2008 bond measure. And it's just kind of an important thing to note that we have buildings in various stages and ages of their life of service. Again, we're still in this kind of middle phase of planning and engagement, and we are making slow but steady progress. Staff have been working on prioritizing different projects and options. We start out with a pretty extensive list and we've honed that a little bit. And at our next meeting, we're going to hone it a little bit further so that we're really clear as we start to move into public engagement what the project possibilities are. And again, these are things that we're starting with so that we can get feedback from the community that we will further refine before we bring it on to you all. And part of that work is estimating cost at a really broad level. As we move through the process, we'll get more specific and probably get outside folks to help us with the costs, because our ultimate goal is to be really clear on what we can offer to the community and make sure that if we say we're going to do it, we're able to afford to do so, which is obvious, but really important to be aware of. The most exciting thing that's going on right now is we are starting to recruit for the bond task force. And although we've only put a little bit of information out there, we've already gotten 10 applications in, which is pretty awesome. It's great to have choices and to have early interest. A lot of times these things all come in during the last week, which can be a nail biter for us of like, did we really reach everybody? So 10 is a great start. And then when everyone comes back from summer vacation in August, we will have a list of folks for you all to review and hopefully approve. And then we'll start having 3 or 4 sessions with these folks to help us refine and come up with recommendations. And that is the flyer. If you haven't seen it already, we can certainly get some out to you. And so as mentioned previously, we're kind of on track to do the bond task force. We're going to start working with our polling firm. And again, we're really just working to refine that project mix behind the scenes right now. So those are the things I have to share, but I'm open to questions.
I had one question. I have 2 questions, but I answered one of them because it said it on there. Applications are due July 13th. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And then how many folks are we going to be appointing to the task force?
We are thinking that 11 would be a good number, an odd number for sure.
Got it.
But if we have a really great group, represents a cross-section of the community, we may come back to you and say, how do you feel about 13? What we want is enough so that there's dialogue, not enough so that we're overwhelmed, or alternatively, if a couple people don't turn up, we don't want it to be 3 or 4 people sitting in a room with us.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Bruce because we had this discussion this week. It is
like, do you go in May? Do you go in November? How many people do you put on a task force? And the debate is always between 11 and 13. And so in preparing for this evening's discussion, I told him, don't put a number on there and we'll be flexible and we'll decide based upon the applications. So it's not going to be 12. It's going to be 11 or 13.
My
But
apologies.
good job with the answer, Bruce.
I had a good coach.
Thank you for the update.
You're
Appreciate you. Okay. That moves us along to we are ahead of schedule this evening, and I believe with all of the pomp and circumstance, I'm rather impressed that we are moving ahead. So thank you. We've got Gary Keck, Nicole, and Chelsea. We're going to talk through neighborhood parks. Take it
Yes.
away.
Yeah, thank you. Gary Keck. I'm the Planning and Development Manager for the Park District, and I'm here to introduce our team that's been working on this naming. Tonight, Chelsea is going to lead us through the presentation. She's our Community Engagement Specialist, and then we've got Nicole Paulson, virtually, our Planning Supervisor, who's going to help us with any questions that may come up. So I'll let Chelsea take the lead.
Great. Thank you for the introduction, Gary. And thank you, members of the board, for having me this evening. So tonight, I will present the proposed names of 2 park sites and request your approval of those names. But first, I wanted to share a high-level overview of the steps that we take during our park naming process. The first step involves working with cultural partners and researchers who help develop our award-winning catalog. And then next is working with an internal naming committee that helps match name options to sites. And then afterwards presenting to our management team and then the names to the community. And then afterwards the advisory committee. And then finally, as the orange arrow indicates, we're here to present the names for final approval here. And next, I wanted to expand a little bit on that first step and tell you more about our naming catalog. And so here are some things we consider. Let me back up a little bit. So going back to the naming catalog, this is an ongoing and live document that's been developed through extensive community engagement, and it really serves as a starting point for naming THPRD sites with further community input to follow. And so when creating the catalog, we worked with a diverse research team, including local graduate students with expertise in cultural histories and lived experience, and also collaborated with a wide range of community members and organizations, including communities of color, Native communities, and people with disabilities, and LGBTQ+ groups. In addition to that, conducted interviews, focus groups, and drew upon historical resources. And the goal here was really to create a catalog of names that are reflective of the communities that we serve, and also foster a sense of belonging and safety across all park sites. And so on this next slide, here are some things to consider when thinking about the 2 proposed names that we'll look at. So to the first point, similar to music or smells, people differ in the way that they interpret language and sounds. And for the second consideration is that we've engaged different segments of the district community and several partners in a variety of ways to provide feedback. So some of the community input methods include surveys, mailers, tabling at local community events, bilingual newsletters, social media posts, local NACs and CPOs, THPRD website and news blasts. Those are just a few of the ways that we engage community members in the naming process. And lastly, another point to consider is that names can resonate with communities, and communities also change over time. And so next we'll look at the park locations and concept plan. This first park is a developer park and in the North Bethany area, and this area is heavily developed, and the park is one of the last to be added to this area. And our name for this park is Harvest Park, and it is a name that honors Oregon's Nakai community and its farming history. The name comes from early photos that show crops being planted and harvested, which were passed down by families and are a meaningful part of Oregon's history. The park site characteristics also align with the name, where Harvest Park features a gleaning garden, which will let people gather fresh produce. And this next site is in the South Cooper Mountain area. And this site was constructed by a developer, which in the South Cooper Mountain area, and this area is defined by that blue boundary. And this area is under development and currently has a few residents living there right now. And the future build out plan here is subject to developer timelines. And then the area that you see highlighted in the red is future development, and the density isn't shown on the map, but will also include additional housing. And this park site, Free Skies Park, is a pocket park and in the same vicinity as an urban plaza and also a neighborhood park that's being developed. And as staff, we do our best to match names to sites across the district based on features, amenities, locations, and other characteristics. And so here, we brought this park for naming back in May 2024, and based on community and board feedback, we've revisited the naming catalog and are recommending Free Skies Park for this site. And so Free Skies Park was a name identified through community partnership with Oregon Northwest Black Pioneers, and it was inspired by a 1907 obituary by Albert Baylis, who was an African-American pioneer who, despite the challenges of his time, found freedom and dignity in Oregon. And the name expresses the concept of freedom and possibility while also describing what a park should be and represent, which is a place for a community to come together and be inspired. And the park site has its wide sky views, and amenities also include a large open grass area for neighbors to come together and gather and connect with each other, which embody the meaning provided in the name. And so because there aren't many people living in the area right now, we also reached out to 9 community partners for feedback on the name and received overwhelmingly positive feedback. And I just wanted to share a few highlights that we heard. So a few snippets were that I like the feeling of freedom. Culturally speaking, it sounds good. And also love the story behind the name. It sounds really nice. And so this concludes my PowerPoint. And so I'd like to open the floor to welcome any feedback and also mention that we'd like your recommendation approval to move forward with the names. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
I can lead off. I think these are great names, and thank you for all the work with the community engagement. Even of the 9 hardy souls who are living out there, we still got their their feedback. It's great. I love the idea as we, of course, close our eyes and wish for unlimited funds to flow in to support big art installments and storytelling, that once our new website is, we're all good there. Some sort of thing on like a sign where we can, whether it's a QR code or something like that, you can scan it, goes to an online page, tells the story behind some of the names that we have. Even the names that we've had forever, tells the story of who that person was, who was Roy Dancer. I don't know personally, but I would like to dig and figure that out a little bit more if I was hanging out at the park with my kids. So would encourage us to explore that as a possibly less intensive way of storytelling these. These ones where our relatively new naming catalog, why is really compelling. I've always kind of, I think inspired by is great. I'm always like towing that line of like, how do we do that artfully without grabbing random people from the state and saying it inspired a park in Beaverton? So, right, like Albert Baylis, I was looking really quick. It's like Salem area, but it's still a great story. And I think the name, if it was like Albert Baylis Park, it would feel a little weird, inspired by something we read that speaks to this physical. I think you all have done a really nice job of connecting the, like, I think you can, any one of us can be moved by a story, and it can reflect in a idea for a park name to honor the sentiment or the inspiration. So, but I always want us to be careful about those kind of things where the person was probably never was near this area or had a direct impact on this area. But you're doing great. Thank you. These are wonderful.
Yeah, just a couple quick comments. Love the names of the parks. I really like Free Skies. I think it's a really fun and just it elicits a response that is hard to put words to, but it just feels good. The other thing I'll say is that in general, I love that we do pocket parks like this. I think they are like really impactful for communities, especially in communities that we anticipate to be probably quite family driven. Having a safe space that is like right in the middle where their kiddos can go and kick it and have fun or just goof off, but still relatively visible. I think that's lovely. And I'm really proud of our team for being really intentional with where we place these parks. So thank you.
I would just say thank you to the team and I love our live catalog of it all. And I always look forward to this part of the meetings because I love hearing the stories and where the names come from and stuff. So I just appreciate it. I think it gives so much more meanings to our parks and it really shows the efforts that we put into it. And so just thank you for the team. And yeah, I love these names. They're great.
I'll do a throwback to when this was park number one, Harvest Park originally came around. And part of my reflection is oftentimes it's first time right. Like there's so much thought and intention that when things get to us as a board, I feel like it's first time right. And it's not often that we as a board collectively make the decision to say, this doesn't feel right. And this was one of those instances where collectively we said, not quite feeling right. And I think it's just a testament to the dedication of the work and what can happen. Because if I think back to May of 2024 and Meeting Point and kind of it wasn't working. And now here we are with Harvest Park, and there's a story behind it when you talk about eliciting emotions and things, and it is one of our first that's going to have the gleaning garden, and so there's a connection there. So I just want to give kudos to the fact that you heard our feedback. I know that it required more work, and we're coming back around almost a year later, but I think it was very impactful and meaningful because I'm very pleased with where it turned out. And I will echo Miles' sentiments. I mean, I think you all know where I stand, and to be honoring freedom in a way at a night that we are celebrating Juneteenth and we are recognizing all of the systems that are still at play and the harm that is done, to have a space that this does just elicit some next level feelings for me personally as well. So kudos to the catalog, kudos to the team. Let's go. I will entertain a motion.
I can do that. I move that the Board of Directors approve resolution number 2025-09, naming 2 neighborhood park sites as Harvest Park and Free Skies Park.
Oh,
I will second.
Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. I was waiting for my.
Jessica, will you please take a vote?
Miles Palacios,
Yes.
Alfredo Moreno,
Yes.
Tia Ping,
Yes.
Barbie Minor.
Yes. All right. Well, team, with that, I believe we are adjourned.
Thank you.